All right. Delighted, dear ones. So delighted to be present with you. June 2021, an amazing time to be a human, to be alive in this chaotic, expanding universe of shifting from 3D to 5D reality. And you're living it every day. So, good job hanging in there. So, it's not going to get easier yet. So, keep your balance, keep your community, and keep doing what you're doing, which is feeling lost and confused, but not giving up. So, we do want to talk, our channel was correct on that. We do want to talk about plate tectonics. There's been a series of smaller earthquakes off the coast of California and some in the state along the border between California and Mexico, right about the middle of that border. And those are going to continue, and we believe they're going to escalate. So often when we see a series of small earthquakes, it releases the pent-up, build-up energy. But our take on what we're sensing now is these earthquakes are actually building to a larger shake. Now, everybody take a breath. We're not talking about the big one. We're talking about something in the range between 4.5 and we believe 5.5, enough to make you aware that the earth is moving, but hopefully not break anything fragile, not break any glass or such. So why is this happening? Well, just like you, the earth is in a process of change. They too, the earth is a consciousness, and the earth consciousness is shifting in their own way into holding the vibration that we're identifying is 5D, 5 dimension. And remember that 5-dimensional reality is about breaking away from the concepts of separation, isolation, this working your way into being at peace with the awareness that all is one, that you are as connected to God, Goddess, all that is, as anyone else, and that you have a unique one-on-one relationship with them. But it's also so much more about the awareness of all other consciousness. Now, the temptation is to say all other human consciousness, but that's not the truth. All other consciousness includes the earth consciousness, crystalline consciousness. You've got mammals, you've got whale consciousness, you've got fairy and fae realms, you've got, well, we're going to say it out loud, you've got dragon realms. You've got so much that you're not even aware of yet. So this idea, and then of course your ET energy, which is also consciousness. So you're just dipping a toe in the pond at this point, dear ones. So now is not the time to panic. Now is not the time to give in to overwhelm. Now is the time to get excited and happy about the opportunity that's in front of you. In order to take hold of that opportunity, you have to let go of all things that are anchored into the 3-dimensional reality. And those are the things associated with the separation. And those are the tools of fear, the tools of pain, the loneliness, the not good enough, the not deserving, and every face of fear that is possible to hold. Because those are the weighty vibrational tools you've been using to learn more about who you are within the confines of 3-dimensional reality. So the other thing that's happening as you start to dip your toe into the 5D consciousness is you're going to be dreaming a lot more. Anybody here already experiencing a lot more dreams? Yeah, a lot more dreaming and a lot more, let's call them memories of this lifetime. You'll be sitting watching TV and suddenly you'll be remembering being 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, as if you were right there in the room with them. You're also going to start connecting with potential future selves in a very strong way. And this moving through time will become much easier if you start to have focal points. One, there's nothing strange and odd about it. It's representative that you are being freed of the isolation and separatism that holds you in 3D reality. So this idea that you're a little more free-flowing with time is meant to be celebrated. So, but it's a change, and we understand that change is challenging. That's why we're talking about it with you. So we're going to cycle back to why we're talking about plate tectonics right now, earthquakes, volcanic activity, and we're going to include in this shifts in the weather patterns. As you let go of your sense of separation and isolation, so does the earth consciousness. And their process in releasing the tools that align it with 3D reality is different, but not quite unlike your own. So these earth movements are their way of balancing their vibrational signature, just as when you release pent-up energy, emotional, mental, etheric, even physical energy, you have a chance within that release to align with the vibration that we're calling unconditional love and or 5-dimensional vibration. So there's going to be a lot more frequent earth movement, a lot more frequent spontaneous release of volcanic energy, a lot more shifts in your weather patterns, which are not in and of themselves part of this, but are a byproduct of the change in the earth energy and vibration. So to begin to come to a place where you can be enthusiastic about the change, because the quicker you align with the acknowledgement that this is an opportunity, the more peaceful you will be in living through this period of transition. Now, is there going to be a big one that separates California or any part of the West Coast from the body of the continent of North America? We don't believe so, no. We will, if you look at a map, you know what we call the Pacific Rim, California up to Alaska, over to Asia, down into Japan and the islands. We believe they're called Aleutian Islands. There's a big, almost circular pattern. And if over time, if you do, as we do, tracking the vibrational releases along that circle, that pattern, you're going to find that you can begin to see the pattern where a release is triggered, and now California gets triggered. And then the cycle goes again. It's not always that way, but there is a tendency towards that pattern. And we are looking at that now, but instead of releasing the energy, there's a wind up of energy from our perception, which is why we're saying to you, we sense there's going to be bigger earthquakes, as we said, about 5.5 perhaps on your scale in terms of release. So rather a series of between 3 and 5.5 rather than one really big earthquake. Let's all agree that that's what we prefer to have. Now, we're also including volcanic energy. And there's going to be volcanic releases, we believe, in the country called Mexico. We believe there might also be a volcanic or earth movement energy in the country you call Peru. And we believe there's also going to be volcanic releases in your state of Hawaii. There's also a potential of earthquake in the country of Japan, and that would also be in that 3 to a series of 5.5 on your scale. But outside the pattern that we're talking of, we're also seeing expanded earthquake release in the Middle East and Afghanistan and into Russia and into the nation of China. You don't get a lot of your news forecasts back on information on these earthquakes or their impact, but China has experienced many large earthquakes in the last 2 years, and we think this pattern is going to continue. A country that we don't see having been impacted in the past, but we believe is going to be impacted in this is June, July, August, September, approximately the next 3 to 4 months time period, is Korea. North Korea and South Korea both experiencing a series of earth movements. So not all earth movements are earthquakes. Some are triggered by, such as we're looking at in Peru, might be triggered by wave action undermining an earthen cliff edge that then causes it to collapse, which then feeds back into the movement of the water, setting up a pattern back and forth. in the area of Korea, both north and south, our sense is that it is earth movement energy. So we're not quite certain what the scale of that might be, but they're not very experienced with that type of energy, so it's going to be a bit of a wake-up call. You're also looking at New Zealand, so this is widespread, and the time frame we're looking at is over a series of events over the next 4 months in particular. So be at peace, dear ones. We're not forecasting doom and gloom. That's not who we are. That's not what this is about. But the more prepared you are, the calmer you are when these events occur, and you can see them for what they are. As you realign your energy, feel uplifted at the fact that the earth is also realigning its energy, which means you can stay on the earth a while longer. Isn't that a good thing to hear? Yeah, we're teasing, but not really. If the earth wasn't realigning its energy, you would not be able to stay on it. So be at peace that all the pieces are moving in the right direction at the right time. We cannot, no one that we're aware of, outside of perhaps God, Goddess, all that is, can influence the fact that these energetic releases, tectonic activity is going to occur. We can work with the energy of God, Goddess, all that is, to break up what might be a 10.0 into a series of 3 to 5.5 releases, but we cannot stop, nor would we want to stop the earth movement itself. That would be like us looking at you and saying, please stop breathing, it's bothering us. Yes? So look through the eyes of love and compassion. Just as you are seeking to change and to grow, so too all other vibration. And in alignment with that, your escalating dream activity is helping parts of you. How do we say this in English? If you've dreamed about a fairy energy, if you've dreamed about a dragon energy, if you've dreamed about an ET energy, if you've dreamed about an angelic energy, and then at some point later in your reality you become aware of their presence, it's much less frightening, it's much less stressful. So a lot of the dream energy that's happening now is to introduce you to the fact that the veils between dimensions are thinning. So be at peace with all of this change. It's leading to the adventure you asked for. You asked to be incarnate as an adult doing this time of incredible change and expansion. So this is you getting what you asked for. Now, we also work with some Christian people, and they're really concerned about the activity in the Middle East. And their question to us is this a sign of the end times, quote unquote, end times? Well, how do we say this? In a word, no. Is it the final conflict? No. Is there going to continue to be greater conflict? Yes. Is the world going to nuclear war? Not that we can foresee. We don't see that within your range of possibilities or probabilities in any future that we can foresee at this time. Is it acceptable to be concerned? All violence should generate concern on your part and compassion on your part. Notice we did not say fear. We said concern and compassion. So as you in your country have been dealing with racial divides and political divides, even environmentally driven divides over what you value and what you respect and what you care for, so too people of all other nations will be going through these changes and the broadening of awareness in very similar patterns such as you're experiencing. What we want to remind you of is that you, as conscious spiritual beings, have the opportunity to put your focus on what is uplifting. In other words, you could look at the violence and the uncertainty in your world and be buried in fear. You could look at the escalating violence in the Middle East and say the end is coming. The devil, it walks the earth. You have so many places you could put your focus. But you came here to help the earth and help humanity transition through this period of change. You came here to be anchors of love and light and compassion and hope. You came here to escalate the energies of trust and truth, that all of this shifting about has a purpose, and it is the birth pangs of the new world making itself known. These are labor pains, dear ones. These are escalating labor pains. When you keep your focus on that this is what it is going to take to birth the new world energy, in which all are cognizant of their connection not only to each other, but to all consciousness, where all are bound by love, it is something to keep your focus on, rather than look at the disruption, the pain of the shift and the change, the pain of those who still are feeling separate and isolated. Instead, lift your awareness and put it on the final end result of the change, this new world which births your 5-dimensional reality. So that is our sharing for this evening. We are grateful that you have given us your time and attention. We call this energy Rise Up, and it's a gentle reminder that so many right now are tempted to, as they become more aware of fear and pain and resistance, the temptation is to fight with it, to fight it. I've got to be stronger, I've got to be bigger, I've got to be meaner, I've got to be more tenacious. Basically, I've got to win. And that, in and of itself, that very mindset, emotional set, sets you up to attract more fear. Instead, rise up above your fear by choosing love, by choosing trust, by choosing hope. Yes. And this concept, so simple and yet so powerful, to rise above, to rise up. And just that simple reminder, what am I choosing right now? And when I'm seeing someone, the way they're presenting themselves, the violence in the streets, the racism, the degradation, the devaluing of other humans, and to stand witness to that, call upon those who love without condition to stand witness with you, to rise, to challenge yourself, to rise up to their vibration, that you might look through the eyes of unconditional love as events are unfolding. We remind you again, these are birthing pains. These are birthing pains. And your world is so full of the temptation to fall back into fear by thinking you must overcome it. Any connection to fear, it magnetizes you into its vibration. But by choosing to remind yourself, what am I choosing? I can choose to be outside of fear. And I do that by choosing trust. And I choose trust when I remember who I'm partnered with. I'm partnered with unconditional love. I'm partnered with those so powerful that are all around you and you're working still on. This idea that I have to go it alone, you're right back into the fear. The idea that I must be stronger, I must be resistant, I must be, again, you're right back into the fear. Instead, challenge yourself. What if I took the meaning out of what other people are doing and instead gave meaning only to what I am choosing? In this way, I lift my vibration by my choices, which is where the source of all human power lies. Yes. So this simple concept, dear one, to take it into your heart, to take it into your day-to-day practice as a real gentle reminder. What am I choosing? I'm choosing to lift my vibration. I'm choosing to rise. Yes.